Hello everyone, let us see how to create a caricature in Photoshop. So let us start. We'll be creating a caricature of a celebrity cricketer Virat Kohli. So he's a famous sportsman in India. So now let us start creating. So first we will select the subject. The subject here is Virat Kohli, so we will just use the quick selection tool and just click on this select subject, and then we will inverse the selection. So simply hit Ctrl Shift I and simply hit delete, because we only want Virat Kohli, the subject. We don't want any background, right? So we will also crop this document so that it does not have too much of empty space to the left or to the right. So simply create a marquee tool around the Virat Kohli and then simply go to image and select crop, right? So first we will separate the head and the body because the caricature always looks funny. So what we'll do is we will actually make his body small and make his head big. So this is the first step we'll be doing in the process of making a caricature, right? So what we'll do is we'll select a polygon lasso tool and we will select only his head part, just like this, and then we will cut it and then we'll paste it, right? So the next thing what we'll do is we'll try to increase the size of this document. Simply hit C to activate the crop tool and just increase the space. So we want more space actually, so we got some space, and now we will just move the head over here. So then what we'll do is we will just make the size of the body small. So we want the body size to be very small, something like this. So the body is proportionally smaller compared to the head, right? So then what we'll do is we'll just zoom it. We also want some neck here, so I will just select the polygon lasso tool so that I can get some neck from here. So just select this neck part and then we will copy and paste. We'll just use the move tool and then we will just keep it over here, right? Then what we'll do is we will stretch it. So the way to stretch is we'll activate the transform tool and then here we have warp option. Okay, it's a warp tool actually, so we can actually stretch it. So something like this. So just be patient, we'll just stretch it and we will connect, right? So something like this. Right. right. So then what we can do is simply click on this tick mark. So we got like this. So we will adjust the neck a little bit. So we can also use puppet warp tool. So with puppet warp tool we can adjust the neck a little bit. We can create points, then simply adjust the neck. Right. Right. So once this is adjusted, so we can just click on this tick mark. Right. So then what we'll do is we'll merge the body and the neck. Simply hit Ctrl E. Right. So then we will try to just remove the seam here. We got a seam here, so we don't want this seam. So what we'll do is we will use the clone stamp and then just sample this area by using Alt and clicking on this area, and we will just try to cover up the seam. So we will remove the seam actually. Right. Right. So once you have removed the seam, so what we can do is we'll just use the blur tool and we'll just blur out the areas that are not looking nice. Okay, so it will blend perfectly with the skin. Right, now it looks fine. Right. So then the next step, what we are going to do is we will make the head a little bit big. So we can use the center scale here. Right. Right. And now we will use the liquify filter to make it more funny. So we'll simply select this layer, we'll open the liquify filter, go to the filter menu and then open liquify. So once this liquify filter opens, we have to use three tools here, three options here, forward warp tool, pucker tool and blow tool. So we'll first start with the forward warp tool. So I will be just increasing the or stretching his ears actually. I'll just stretch his ears so that it looks funny. Right. Then we will try to stretch his head. Make sure that he looks like a Virat Kohli, and even though he has to look funny, he should not look like some different strange guy. So that is our big challenge actually. So here I am stretching his head. Right. So we'll just push it like this. So something like this. Right. And here also we'll slightly push it. Right. So then what we'll do is we will then use the blow tool here. So the blow tool will actually expand him expand his face like this, so something like this. And also we will use the forward warp tool to bring these areas a little bit down like this, right. And also here we will do something else here. Just we will make his eyebrows like this, right. Ensure that he still looks like a Virat Kohli. Okay, we can also use pucker tool here. So pucker tool is going to make it thin like this, right. So then what we'll do is we'll use the forward warp again, forward warp, and let's try to just increase his beard a little bit, right. So now it looks funny, and we can also try to just bloat his nose a little bit. Oh, just a minute. Okay, we'll try to yeah, this much is fine. So once we are done with this, then what we'll do is we'll simply click OK, right. So now we got till here. Now our next task is to make him look like a cartoon. Okay, so we have to give it a cartoonish look actually. So what we'll do is we will just move the neck, okay, and also just to stretch it. So what we'll do is we will use a puppet pop again. So simply create a point here, and we can just stretch these points, and make sure that we also create points at the bottom, right. So just try to adjust the neck, right. Then just click apply, right. So now we have just got the basic structure here, right. So now what we'll do is we will make it more cartoonish. To make it more cartoonish, first we will take a common layer here. So to take a common layer, we will use the shortcut Control Alt Shift and E. So just take a common layer here, Control Alt Shift and E, right. So once you got a common layer, we can hide these layers, and then we will be working on this layer completely, right. So what we'll do is, the first step, we are going to apply highlights and shadows to this image. So to apply highlights and shadows, first we'll take a new layer above this layer, and we will call it skin highlights. Highlights are the bright areas of the image. So what we'll do is we'll simply select the brush, and I will be selecting soft round brush, and then make sure that the flow value is 15%, and then we will be picking the brightest spot. So just check the brightest spot where it is, and we can make it a little bit brighter here. Okay, now I have selected the brightest spot on the skin, and then what we'll do is we will be using a blending mode, which is screen. Screen is a bright blend mode, so it will help us paint bright areas or bright spots, but don't try to increase the flow value, because if you increase the flow value it might be too bright. So just paint, so we can see here, and we have to paint only on specific areas here. Don't paint everywhere, paint only on those areas which are bright. So something like the nose area, right near the cheeks, right, and also somewhere over his neck, right. So this much is fine. Then we will be taking one more layer, and we will be now painting shadows, skin shadows, right. And this time we'll be using multiply as the blending mode, right. And again make sure that the flow value is 15, and this time we will be selecting a dark or a shadow area inside the image, or let us say a dark area. So we have some dark circles over here which are a little bit dark, and we can also find the dark portions somewhere, but this portion looks very dark here. Okay, we'll pick this, right. And what we'll do is we need to also have some imagination here. So normally what happens is around the corners of our face we generally have dark tones or shadows, and also on our neck, okay, we have dark tones. So we have to first know where the dark tones are. See, around his eyes, and near the left and the right side of his nose we have dark tones. So we have to paint only on these areas. So now what I will do is I will be painting the dark tones in specific areas. Just reduce the size of the brush, right. So something like this. So just for the corners also we have a dark tones, right. If you try to paint with the flow option twice or thrice, its intensity will increase, right. So here also we have a dark tones, right. So something like this. So we can slightly reduce the opacity also if you think it's too much, a very little, okay. And also try to paint the dark tones near his neck, right, something like this. And also try to paint the dark tones on his ears, right. So now we got the look. So if you want the intensity to be too much, you can just take a duplicate here, duplicate of this layer. See, it's now the intensity is too much, but it is not looking nice. We can just go back. Actually we'll stick to this one, right. And we can actually clip these two layers to this image layer actually, so that you won't be painting on the background. So something like this, right. So again we will be taking a common layer, so simply use Ctrl Alt Shift and E, right. So the next thing we'll be doing is, now we will add some contrast to the image. To add contrast to the image, just take a duplicate of this layer, and then we'll be using overlay blend mode. So this is the overlay blend mode. With overlay blend mode, the image is going to get some contrast, right. And we can slightly reduce the opacity if you want, right. So now it looks cartoonish. So we can make it more cartoonish actually. What we'll do is we'll also paint his lips actually. So just what we'll do, we'll take one more common layer, Control Alt Shift and E, and again we will hide all the bottom layers. Right, then what we'll do is we'll make his lips a little bit reddish. So what we'll do, we'll just take a new layer, and we can just use lips here. So we will just pick the skin tone on his lips. So just we can make it a little bit dark, and we can actually use the multiply blend mode, and then we will select the brush. We can slightly increase the flow value, just to zoom it, and we can just paint like this, something like this. And we can also reduce the opacity a little bit, just something like this. And if you want a little bit more darkness, you can just take one more duplicate here. Right, but we will reduce the opacity even further. Okay, and we will also add some highlights to his lips. Just take one more layer, and we will select a bright spot over his lips. So we'll just select this one, and then we will use the screen blend mode, and make sure that the flow value is this much, 24%, and then just we will slightly paint on his lips. So just paint at the middle here. Right, this much is okay, don't paint too much. Right, so we can just rename the layer lips highlights. Right, so now we'll make it look more like a painting. So for that, what we'll do is we'll take one more duplicate of this layer. So just simply hit Ctrl J. So we got a duplicate. So what we'll do is we will apply a filter to this. So simply go to filter gallery, and here we will select a dry brush. So dry brush is there, and we can slightly play with these settings here. So brush size is there, so we can actually put it to 10 actually. Okay, so it looks exactly like a painting. And we can also try to change the brush detail here. If you reduce the brush detail, it will look like a rough painting. So let's increase the brush detail here. Let's keep it also to 10. So means we are putting the maximum values for both brush size as well as brush detail, and simply click OK. Right, so now what we'll do is we don't want it to look completely like a painting. We want it to show some details actually. We want this caricature to have to show some details. So for that, what we'll do is we will actually apply a hide all mask to it. So simply hold Alt and click on this mask icon at the bottom of layers panel, and then what we'll do is we will just select the brush tool, and we will reduce the flow here. So we will keep it around say 30. So you can just put 30 here, and now let's start painting. So it will give some look of a painting, as well as it will have some realism also. So few more things are left for us to do. That is, we'll be adding a blush on his cheeks. Just take a new layer, and we will use a pink color, pure pink, and you select a linear dodge blending mode, and we will reduce the flow to, let's say, 20. So we can keep 20 here, and then we can just add a blush, so something like this. Right, and we can actually reduce the opacity if you think it's too dark. Okay, yeah, this much is okay. Right, 66 is okay. Right, so then we will do some final things here. That is, we can put a background here, but before that we will take a common layer here, Control Alt Shift and E. Right, and then we'll hide all other layers. Simply hold Alt and click on this visibility symbol. Right, so now what we'll do is we'll just create a background, means we'll create a layer below this caricature layer. So simply hold Control and click on this create new layer icon at the bottom of the layers panel. Right, so now we will just bring a background. So we'll get this rock background and we'll place it behind this caricature. We will reduce the size of this background. So just adjust it properly. So we can also rotate it if you want. Right. So now what we'll do is we'll just create a vignette above this active layer. So to create a vignette, just I will create a layer above this rock texture, and then we will be just using a radial gradient, so which is having a white and a black. Right, and then just simply create, and we want to actually remove this reverse option so that the center color will be white. So just drag it like this, so something like this, and then we will just apply multiply blend mode to it, so something like this. So now it looks fine. Right, and we can just apply a little bit of outer glow to the caricature if you want. So we'll just reset, and we can just apply a slight outer glow, a very little. Right, so this is the caricature of Virat Kohli, a famous Indian cricketer. So we can save it finally. So simply go to File, Save As, and we can save on our desktop. So just simply put the caricature here as name and save. Right, so this is our final product. So I hope you like it. I hope you enjoyed the tutorial. Please do subscribe, like, share, and if you have anything to say, do comment. See you again.